A deadly dynamite explosion rips through an illegal coal mine in Meghalaya, India. But this isn't just another headline. It's a symptom of a much deeper crisis. A story about laws that seem to exist only on paper, warnings that go completely unheard, and a system that's in a state of total collapse.
All right, so to really get our heads around what's going on in Meghalaya, we're going to start with the human cost of this most recent tragedy. Then we'll look at the official mining laws, the ones that are supposed to stop this from ever happening. We're also going to dig into a pretty damning report from the government's own watchdog, uncover why the whole system is so fundamentally broken, and finally, look at the true, devastating cost of this entire crisis. So, let's start with the disaster that forced this issue right back into the spotlight, the very real, human cost of a dangerous and forbidden industry. You can feel the anger on the ground. A local civil society group put it so bluntly, saying this unchecked exploitation has pushed the state towards social and environmental collapse. Think about that. This isn't just about a mining accident. It's about the very fabric of their society being torn apart.
The event that kicked off this latest wave of outrage, an explosion at the Thangsco mine in East Jaintia Hills. 27 people went to work that day, and they never came home. That number isn't just a statistic, it's a brutal reminder of the lethal dangers hiding just under the surface.
And this tragedy happened in what's known as a rat hole mine. The name itself tells you everything you need to know. Miners have to crawl into these tiny, unstable horizontal tunnels, sometimes hundreds of feet deep, with absolutely zero safety measures. It is just as primitive and dangerous as it sounds.
But here's the thing. This wasn't some isolated incident. It's a recurring nightmare. I mean, just look at this timeline. The National Green Tribunal banned this exact type of mining way back in 2014, but that ban seems to have changed absolutely nothing. 15 miners died in 2018, 5 more in 2021, and now the deadliest incident yet. You see, this isn't a series of accidents. It is a predictable, heartbreaking pattern of failure.
Okay, so if this is all banned, what are the rules actually supposed to be? Let's take a look at the law, at what's supposed to be happening. This is mining by the book.
You know, when you look at the official rules, it's like entering a different universe. On paper, the system for legal mining is the polar opposite of a rat hole mine. It's incredibly thorough, designed with all these layers of checks and balances to ensure safety, protect the environment, and guaranteed good governance.
I mean, just look at this. This shows you how ridiculously complex the legal path is supposed to be. You need approvals from both the state and central governments, detailed geological reports, scientific mining plans, numerous environmental clearances. It's a long and intentionally difficult process. And here's the actual government document. The level of detail is just extraordinary. It's a world away from the grim reality of men with dynamite in muddy tunnels. And this contrast, right here, this is the core of the problem. The law on paper versus the total lawlessness happening underground. Okay, so you've got these super detailed rules, but how well are they actually being followed? Well, the government's own watchdog investigated, and you know, what they found is pretty revealing.
And as you can probably guess, there is a massive gap. The ideal, on the left, is this perfect system of control and revenue for the state. But the reality, uncovered by India's top auditor, is chaos, widespread rule-breaking, and just huge financial losses for everybody.
So who did this investigation? It was the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, or the CAG. This is the highest audit institution in the country, and they did a deep dive, a performance audit specifically on mining in Meghalaya. And what they found? Well, the financial losses are just staggering. This chart breaks it down. From mining issues alone, the audit found a revenue gap of over 41 crore rupees. That's millions of US dollars. And when you pull in the related departments, the total shortfall is enormous. This is public money, money for schools and roads, that is just vanishing from the system. So what did the audit actually find? It found a system that's just broken from the inside out. Leases being handed out without the right documents, mining happening way outside the legal boundaries, and monitoring that was completely useless. The report's conclusion was blunt, you can't argue with it. Cases of illegal mining still continue in the state. So this wasn't some big secret, it was an official finding.
Which, of course, brings us to the big question. If the rules are so strict, and the government's own auditor is sounding the alarm, why on earth does this deadly illegal industry continue to thrive?
And the answer, well, it's not simple at all. It's a combination of a lot of different factors that have basically created a perfect storm of illegality and impunity.
People on the ground will tell you it boils down to a few key things. First, just a simple failure of governance. Court orders are there, but they're just ignored. Second, legal loopholes around land ownership get exploited. But the most damning reasons are the allegations of outright complicity. Activists are using phrases like state-sponsored lawlessness and are claiming the government itself has been captured by a criminal enterprise.
The scale of this illegality is almost impossible to wrap your head around. A committee appointed by the state's own high court found over 22,000 illegal mine openings in just one district. That's not a few rogue operations. That is an entire parallel industry operating in plain sight.
And this might be the most damning assessment of all, and it comes directly from the Meghalaya High Court. The court itself observed that it seems to be the only institution in the entire state taking this crisis seriously. That just points to a profound lack of political will to fix any of this.
So finally, when you add it all up, what is the total price being paid for this systemic failure? Because it goes so much further than the tragic headlines of mine collapses.
I mean, the cost is just catastrophic, and it ripples through every single part of society. It's measured in human lives lost and workers exploited in horribly unsafe conditions. You see it in the environment with rivers poisoned by acid drainage. You feel it in the state's finances with that massive revenue loss that could have funded hospitals or schools. And it just corrodes society itself as the rule of law collapses and traditional ways of life like farming are destroyed.
And really, this gets to the heart of it. People on the ground describe a system that's designed to benefit a powerful few. A small mining elite makes enormous profits while entire communities are left with the consequences, pushed toward that exact social and environmental collapse that we heard about at the very beginning.
So that leaves us with this one final critical question. We've seen the laws on paper, we've seen the warnings from auditors, and we've seen the devastating pattern of tragedy year after year. So what will it actually take to finally bridge that enormous gap between law and reality in Meghalaya and stop this cycle of destruction for good?